Okay, alright. Add it up. Okay, alright. Add it up. Add it up.
Well, good morning. Happy Monday. I hope you guys are doing well. For those of you that are awake for this early morning session. So, this is the Comptia Data Plus. So, it's the DAT 001 exam study group. So, if this is your first time here, let me go through a couple of things. First of all, I'm Giovanni, and I am going to go through what we do here, far as in our study group. So, if you look in your bottom right hand corner, there is a timer. That timer will go through. Our first session is 45 minutes. So, we will study for 45 minutes solidly. And then after that, we have a 5-minute break. We come back, we go through a quiz and usually some flashcards. Once we get done with that, we are done. It is 7:01 Central Standard Time. This is the 18th of what month are we in? We are in April. So it is April 18th, 2022. So thank you guys for coming to hang out with me and the tons of other people that are studying as part of this group. We're all kind of recording at different places, but we all just kind of come and hang out with each other. So let's go ahead and get started. There is quite a bit of silence, so you'll hear some filler music. You can ask any questions, anything you want to contribute to the group. Feel free to go through, write your questions, post them, and I will answer them as best I can. Yesterday, we were working on the. Now, you guys have to understand, I was up until almost 1 this morning. Studying for a paper for a class that I have. So I'm an online student at SNHU, and it is, we had a class that I needed to write this paper. So I finish up the rest of the study and I just do my best at night. So I had to get up for this group, of course, make sure that I'm here. So right now I have my coffee. I hope you guys do too. Let's go ahead and get started. And This is the beginning of the book. So if you were not here yesterday, we have transitioned from doing the LinkedIn course. We finished the LinkedIn course, and now we are on to make sure that we are going into the book. So we are studying the book. The book that we are studying looks like this. All right. So if you don't have this book, I have the digital version. As you can see, there is a physical copy you can get from Cybex as well. I just happen to have both. I like the digital version, so I can put my notes inside of there. Some people prefer to write their notes inside of they want a actual hard copy. So up to you. All right, let's talk about exam objectives. All right, so they're just this portion right here is just pointing out that if for some reason you have this book and Comptia has gone through and decided to retire this particular certification, which I don't see them doing. If that ends up being the case, they don't guarantee that the software that they have online, which we'll do later on today, that they're not guaranteeing that the software will be available. All right, so let's get our study music going and let's get into what we need to do. So they have data mining, data analysis, and data visualization, all with the same percentage of weight of questions. So this part right here is definitely something that we should have in our orange. Did I do that in yellow? I think I did that in orange. Yeah. Yep, that is in our orange. Identify the basic concepts of data schemes and dimensions. Okay, so he broke his book down based off of the exam objectives. Okay, got it. So I think we have our first kind of assessment test here to see where we are. So we're going to get tested first thing. So Leela is aggregating data from a CRM system with data from an employee system. While performing an initial quality check, let me turn this down so you guys aren't screaming, or I'm not screaming trying for you guys to hear me. So while performing an initial quality check, she realizes that her employee ID is not associated with her identifier in the CRM system. What kind of issue is Layla facing? Choose the best. It's not that her system is not integrated. Hmm. My guess would be this. We're going to put this in a different color. So this is when we're doing quizzes. So I'm going to go with, we're going to look at all the pinks right now. Rob is a pricing analyst for a retailer. Using a hypothesis test, he wants to assess whether people who receive electronic coupons spend more on average. What should Rob's null hypothesis be? I remember us going through a part of this in the class. So he's trying to find out if people spend more if they are given a coupon. So his null hypothesis would be people who do not receive electronic coupons spend more on average, because he needs to I think it's D, people who do not receive, because I think it's the opposite when you're doing null hypothesis. It's got to be either C or D, but we'll go through and find out later. Tanya needs to create a dashboard that will draw information from many other data sources and present it to business leaders. Which one of the following tools is least likely to meet her needs? I don't know what QuickSight and SPS Modeler are. I'm going to go with QuickSight. I don't know what that is. Okay. Ryan is using the structured query language SQL to work with data stored in a relational database. He would like to add several new rows to a database. What command should he use? Insert. Daniel is working on an ELT process that sources data from 6 different sourcing systems. Looking at the sourcing data, he finds that data about the sample people wait. He finds that data about the sample people exist in 2 of 6 systems. What does he have to make sure he checks for in his ELT process? I'm going to go redundant data. Samantha needs to share a list of her organization's top 50 customers with the VP of sales. She would like to include the name of customers, the business they represent, their contact information, and their total sales over the past year. The VP does not have any specialized analytical skills or software, but would like to make sure personal notes on the would like to make some personal notes on the data set. What would be the best tool for Samantha to use this information? Okay, I'm going to go Microsoft Excel because Power BI is more geared towards a person who has a bit more technical information. Microsoft Excel too, but I don't think Microsoft Excel is difficult to understand. Minitab, I don't know what that is, and SAS, I'm not familiar with what that is, so I'm just going to go Microsoft Excel um, as my answer. Alexander wants to use data from his corporate sales, CRM, and shipping systems to try and predict future sales. Yeah, sorry. Yes, you guys can chime in if you think you know what the answer is. I'll start reading through all the answers because some people may be listening to this and not really watching. They may have just turned this on, so I apologize for not assuming by assuming that everybody's looking. I'll just read it out, and then I'll read through all the answers, and then I'll give you what I think the answers is, so that we, for the sake of time, of course, we'll move through. But if there's something you're like, this is the answer, quickly, just go ahead and type it in. That's fine. Alexander wants to use data from his corporate sales CRM and shipping systems to try and predict future sales. Which of the following systems is most appropriate? Choose the best answer. Data Mart, OLAP, Data Warehouse, OLTP. I'm going to go Data Warehouse. I'm almost certain that Data Warehouse is, but I mean, we'll find out where I am. Jackie is working in a data warehouse and finds a finance fact table linked to an organization's dimensions, which in turn links to a currency dimension that is not linked to the fact table. What type of design pattern is the data warehouse using? Okay, let me read that again. Jackie is working in a data warehouse and finds a finance table links to an organizational dimensions, which in turn links to currency dimensions that is not linked to a fact table. I believe that is Snowflake. Encryption is a mechanism. Oh, well, let me read that full question. So this is the Jackie question. It says Jackie is working in a data warehouse and finds a finance fact table linked to a organization dimension, which in turn links to a currency dimension that is not linked to a fact table. What type of design pattern is the data warehouse using? Star, sun, snowflake, or comet? Snowflake is what I chose. Encryption is a mechanism for protecting data. When should encryption be applied to data? Choose the best answer. When data is at rest, when data is at rest or in transit, when data is in transit, or when data is at rest unless you are using local storage. It is when it is in transit. When it is in at rest, doesn't necessarily mean it needs to be encrypted. When it's getting ready to leave from one place to go to another is when it needs to be encrypted. What subset of the structured query language is used to add, remove, modify, or retrieve the information stored within a relational database? Good question. I do not know this one. So when a subset of the structured query language I'm going to take a guess and go DQL. It says DDL, DSL, DQL, or DML. I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to go with DQL. Which of the following roles is responsible for ensuring an organization's data quality, security, privacy, and regulatory compliance? Data quality, security. I think data owner. There is data owner, data steward, data custodian, and data processor. Data owners are ultimately responsible for the data's quality and making sure that it is protected and ensuring with the regulatory compliance. I do remember that from the class. Jim wants to study the academic performance of undergraduate sophomores and wants to determine the average grade point average at different points during an academic year. What best describes the data set she needs? A sample, an observation, a variable, or a population? Based off of the question, hmm, she would need. I know it's not observation, and sample is probably too small. I'm going to go population is probably variable, but I'm going to go population because I don't know the answer exactly. I know what it's not, but I'm not sure what it is. Mario works with a group of R programmers tasked with copying data from an accounting system into a data warehouse. And what phase are the group's R skills most relevant? I'm going to go the load phase. So they have extract, load, transform, and purge. The R programmers tasked with copying the data from the accounting system into the data warehouse, and what phase are the group's R skills most relevant is in the extract phase, because them being able to write the program that moves the data from the accounting system into the data warehouse, that's really where, because once they've written the program will go out and extract it, but that's where the skill set comes in. The loading and the transforming, the system can do the transforming if it's in a different way, but I'm going to go extract. Which one of the following tools would not be considered a fully featured analytics suite? Power BI definitely is. I don't know what MicroStrategy is or Minitab. I'm sure I will later, but I don't know what these are. Omar is conducting a study and wants to capture eye color. What kind of data is eye color? Choose the best response. So discrete, categorical, contiguous, or alphanumeric. We know it's not alphanumeric, and we know it's not contiguous. So I'm gonna go categorical because it would say, like, green eyes, blue eyes, brown eyes, so it would fit into a category. But so it's definitely between these two, but we'll see. Lars is looking at home sales prices in a single zip code and notices that one home sold for $938,294 when the average selling price for similar homes is $209,383. What type of data does the 938,294 sales price represent? I don't think it's definitely not duplicate data. I think this is an outlier. Outliers are when you have a data set and um, most of the data is fitting into a certain thing. So think about it this way. If if the way that I think about it, okay, I just try to make it where if you were doing a data set and you were saying, okay, I need to look at all of the shoes in your closet, okay, and you go through and you look at all of the shoes in the closet, and you come up with 10 pair of shoes in the closet, okay, and 8 of those pairs of shoes in the closet are different variations of the color black, okay, and then for your ninth one, it's a pair of red tennis shoes. Okay. And your 10th one is a pair of white tennis shoes. So most of your shoes are black. Okay. There is a red and there is a white. Okay. So if you were looking at those, you would say the two red, the red and the white, the two shoes that are outside of the black, are considered outliers. So in this case, I'm going to go with outliers. I don't think it's invalid data because I do think it's a data set. I mean, it's a point, but and I definitely know it's not redundant data. So it's not like he's getting that same number throughout, and that's considered. I think it's an outlier. I'm actually almost certain that it's an outlier. Triana wants to explore central tendencies in her data set. Which statistic best matches her needs? Standard deviation. So she has interquartile range, median, or standard deviation. So I'm going to choose standard deviation in this case. I'm not sure why. I'm honestly not sure why I would choose standard deviation. I just know I remember us having a portion of the class, and he was talking about standard deviation during the statistical portion of it. Um, so I'll see where that goes. Shakira has 15 people on her data analytics team. Her team's chapter requires that all team members have read access to the finance, human resource, sales, and customer service areas of the corporate data warehouse. What is the best way to provision access to her team? Choose the best answer. Since there are 15 people on her team, create a role for each person to improve security. Since there are 4 discrete data subjects, create one row for each subject area. Enable multi-factor authentication to protect the data. Create a single role that includes finance, human resources, sales, and customer service. My choice would be B, since there are 4 discrete data subjects, which are finance, human resources, sales, and customer service. It says create one role for each subject area. So you would have a person who has, let's say data analyst, and a data analyst, the role that that person would have, it would say data analyst, and they would have access, read only access to the finance, so that they can gain that access. I'm gonna go with this choice, B. What is the median of the following numbers? Um, I guess I would have to find the median. You would have to go through, take all of these numbers, add these numbers, and then go through, and it would tell you. So you would go through. Let's see how many there are. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 16. So there's 18. So then you would just take all these numbers, and I guess you could have a calculator, but I could find it. Give me a second. So you have 13 plus 2 plus 65 plus 3 plus 5 plus 4 plus 7 plus 3 plus 4 plus 7 plus 8 plus 2 plus 4 plus 4 plus 60 plus 23 plus 43 plus 2. Okay, and then you would, so that's 259. Then you would take 259 and divide it by 18. Is that how you do median? I just thought about that. That might not be how you do median. Median might be all of the numbers in order, and then what's the middle variable. I have to look that up and study that a bit more. That might not be right, so we need to make sure we check number 19. Lewis is designing, so I guess today's class is all about a whole entire quiz, which was not intended, but that's what we're going to do. Lewis is designing an ETL process to copy sales data into a data warehouse on an hourly basis. What approach should Lewis choose that would be most efficient and minimize the chances of losing historical data? A bulk load, purge, and load use ELT instead of ETL, and delta load. I remember these from the class. I don't remember the details of them, but I remember there are two different ones. And I remember him talking about that in the class. I just don't remember what they are. I am going to choose that, but I don't recall what the difference between ETL and ELT is. So I am going to have to study that just along with the same thing with you guys. Carlos wants to analyze profits based on sales of 5 different product categories. His source data set consists of 5.8 million rows with columns including region, product category, product name, and sales price. How should he manipulate the data to facilitate his analysis? Okay, so now I got to go back and read the question again. Carlos wants to analyze profits based on sales of 5 different product categories. His source data set consists of 5.8 million rows with columns including region. Okay, I got it. How should he manipulate the data to facilitate his analysis? Transpose by region and summarize. Transpose by product category and summarize. Transpose by product name and summarize. Or transpose by sales price. I'm going to go, because he's trying to find profits. So in order for him to find profits, he would have to, because not just by the product category, the sales price would be important in order for him to find what he's looking for. According to the empirical rule, what percent of the values in a sample fall within 3 standard deviations of the mean in a normal distribution? I don't remember the empirical rule. Does anybody else remember the empirical rule? Because I don't remember it. I'm going to go 95%. Martin is building a database to store prices for items on a restaurant menu. What data type is most appropriate for this field? Building a database to store prices for items. Okay, so he just prices. We got this wrong in a question yesterday, so I believe that it still has to be numeric because he wants to store these prices. It's definitely not date and text, because if you're storing prices, you need it to be numbers, and alphanumeric would have symbols to it, so you need it to be numeric. Harrison is conducting a survey. He intends to distribute the survey via email and wants to optionally follow up with respondents based on their answers. What quality dimension is most vital to the success of Harrison's survey? In this case, it would be completeness, because a person could submit a survey but not submit it with information. Like, let's say he intends to distribute it via email and wants to optimally follow up. So if they need to be able to complete the survey, meaning they need to return it, and it needs to be associated with a specific email address if he intends to follow up with them. So I'm going to go completeness. Mary is developing a script that will perform some common analytics tasks. In order to improve the efficiency of her workflow, she is using a package called the Tidyverse. What programming language is she using? Tidyverse R? I'm going to take a guess with R. So could be wrong, but I'm going to take a guess. Okay. So let's scroll up and let's see. So while the scenario describes a system integration challenge that can be solved with either ELT or ELT, Leela is facing a record linkage. So we got this correct. So you can go through and we can delete this one because we did get a record linkage issue. So we can just put, we got that correct. No. We got to go to the end here. So I think maybe we should just delete the ones that we get wrong. So rather than them just having like, oh, okay, this is, so we got this one correct. We got this one correct. We can delete that highlight. All right. So the null hypothesis. Okay, the null hypothesis presumes the status quo. Rob is testing whether or not people who receive an electronic coupon spend more on average. So the null hypothesis states that people who receive a coupon do spend more on average. So the null hypothesis. Okay, so this one we did not get right. We need to leave that there. QuickSight, Tableau, and Power BI are all powerful analytics and reporting tools that can pull data from a variety of sources. So it would be SPS modular. So we did not get that one right either. So because we chose QuickSight. So need to, what's the next one? The insert command, we got that correct. The insert command is used to add new records to a database table. The select command is used to retrieve information from a database. It's the most commonly used command in SQL and SQL because it is used to post queries to the database and retrieve the data that you're interested in working with. The update command is used to modify rows in the database. The create command is used to create a new table within your database or new database on your server. So in this case, we got this correct. We know insert. All right, next one is while invalid, redundant, and missing data are all valid concerns, data about people exists in 2 of the 6 systems. As such, Daniel needs to account for duplicate. So okay, so we got to go back up. So I did, what was this, 5? Okay, so I chose redundant data when it should have been duplicate data. So we need to leave that. The scenario presents, okay, so this scenario presents a very simple use case where the business leader needs a data set in an easy to access form and will not be performing any detailed analysis. A simple spreadsheet such as Microsoft Excel would be the best tool for this job. There is no need to use statistical analysis packages such as SAS or Minitab, as this would likely confuse the VP without adding any value. The same is true for an integrated analytics suite such as Power BI. So we chose Microsoft Excel. We were correct with that. We're going to go ahead and delete that. Data warehouse bring together data from multiple systems used by an organization. A data mart is too narrow as Alexander needs data from across. So let's scroll up. A data mart is too narrow, and Alexander needs data from across multiple divisions. OLAP is a broad term for analytical process, and is a broad term for analytical process, and OLTP systems are transactional and not ideal for this task. So the answer was OLAP, and I put data warehouse. So we need to leave that on the list. Since the dimensions link to a dimensions that isn't connected to the fact table, it must be a snowflake. With a star, all dimensions link directly to the fact table. Sun and comet are not data warehouse design patterns. So snowflake we got, right? To provide the maximum protection, encrypt data both in transit and at rest. And I think we said when data in transit. So the actual answer is when it is both. So we're going to leave that there. That was the original answer. All right, so DQL, the data manipulation language, is used to work with the data stored in a database. DML indicates the select, insert, update, and delete commands. The data definition language contains the commands used to create and structure a relational database. It includes, so I chose DQL, I think. Okay. It includes the create, alter, and drop commands. DDL and DML are the only two sub-languages, so DQL didn't even exist. So that was wrong. Okay, we're going on to 11. A data steward is responsible for leading an organization's data governance activities, which include data quality. So I chose data owner, and it is actually data steward. So when we get ready to study, I'm going to have to study the differences between a data owner and a data steward. So definitely want to make sure. I'm going to write myself a note. Okay. Okay, so Jan does not have data from the entire population of an undergraduate sophomores. While a specific grade point average is an observation of a variable, Jim needs a sample. So it is actually not population, it is sample. Okay. The R programming language is used to manipulate the model data. In the ETL process, this activity normally takes place during the transform phase. The extract and load phases typically use database-centric tools. Purging data from a database is typically done using SQL. Okay. So it is not the extract, it is during the transform phase. So did not get that one right. All right, so Power BI, Domo, and MicroStrategies are all analytics suites offering features that fill many different needs within the analytics process. Minitab is a statistical analysis package that lacks many of the capabilities. So I chose MicroStrategy. I don't remember what that question was for this. I don't know if all of them. I can check the book really quickly because I don't remember question 14. So question 14 was, which one of the following tools would not be considered a fully analytic suite? So the answer is Minitab. Okay. So I chose, see, good reason to have the actual book too. Okay, so it would be Minitab, and I chose MicroStrategy. Okay. Eye color can only fall into a certain range of values, such as categorical. So we knew that part because it wasn't a numeric or alphanumeric number. So since the value is more than 4 times the average, the value is considered an outlier. So that was the explanation I was giving about the color of the shoes inside of the closet, and just looking at the item as an outlier outside of the data set. So that one was correct. So the median is the middle observation of a variable and is therefore a measure of central tendency. I said standard deviation. It is central tendency. So wait, let's categorical. We should be able to take this out. And the data outliner, we need to take that out as well. Standard deviation is wrong, and it should not be standard deviation. It should be central tendency. Okay. Okay, so while MFA is a good security practice, it doesn't govern access to data. Creating a single role for her team and asserting that role to the individuals on a team is the best approach. Since there are 4 discrete data subjects, create one role for each subject area. Okay. I'm going to go that this was not correct based off of the question. So to find the median, sort the numbers in your data set and find the one located in the middle. In this case, there are even numbers of observations. So we take the 2 middle numbers, 4 and 5, and use their average as the median, makes the deviation 4.5, not 4. So the mode is 4 and the range is 63 and the number of observations is 18. Okay. Where are we again? 20. Since Lewis needs to migrate changes every hour, a delta load is the best. I don't even think I remember that being a question, but I don't. All right, welcome back, you guys. The time went by so quickly. So I didn't get a chance to warn you guys like I normally do, let you know it's time for your break. But I hope you enjoyed your break. I hope you got up and got you something, checked your emails and those type of things. All right, so where were we? We were on finishing this up. So onto product categories. Okay, so it was Delta Load. I remember I did not choose Delta Load, so that was not correct. It says we can transpose this data by product category to perform this analysis broken out by product category. Transpose it by sales, region, or product name will not further his statistical goal. So, what's wrong with that as well? According to the empirical rule, 68% of values are within one standard deviation. 95% are within two standard deviations, and 99.7% are within three standard deviations. So the question was the question for this is, according to the empirical rule, what percent of the values is a full sample fall within three standard deviations? So three standard deviations would be 99.7%. So according to the question, it should have been 99.7, and we chose 95. We've got about 2 minutes left, so we're just going to finish up these last two questions. Prices are numbers stored in dollars and cents. As such, the data type needs to be capable of storing numbers. So we did numeric. And accuracy is for measuring how well an attribute matches its intended use. Consistency measures an attribute's value across systems. Validity ensures an attribute value falls within an expected range. While all of these dimensions are important, completeness is the foundation of Harris's. So we got that one correct. And 25. The tidyverse is a collection of packages for the R language designed to facilitate the analytical workflow. The tidyverse is not available in Python, Ruby, or C++, all of which are general purpose programming languages. So we got that one correct. And we still have a minute left. So we won't go into, like normally we would do flashcards here and we would do quizzes, but today's classwork was specifically a whole entire quiz. When we come back on Wednesday, we will go into chapter 1 and go through whatever it is, notes that we need to take for that to get prepared for our next quiz that we'll go through. So I appreciate you guys coming to hang out. I want you guys to know that no matter how many people are here, you coming and showing up in the morning and sitting down and watching what to some would seem like a very boring stream because there's not a lot of visual stimulation. This is for people who are really looking to understand the information, and we're not rushing through it. We are going through this information in stock detail purposely. So it is important that we share ideas. So you guys share with me. I see people writing in comments, asking questions. I do my best to answer them. I have to look up and look onto another screen to answer it, but I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. So it is Monday. It is time for you to get your week started. So I will see you on Wednesday, same time. We tend to come at the same time. It works for us. So that is 7 o'clock Central Standard Time on Wednesday. Don't pay attention to the live screen set. I need to change that. That says I'll meet you at 5 a.m. Most people aren't up at that time, but at least at 7, East Coast is already up. So with that being said, I will see you guys on Wednesday. I always appreciate you hanging out with me. Hopefully, you will enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you on Wednesday. All right? Bye for now.